So, Star Wars The Last Jedi is almost here, and that means that by this time next week, we'll know if the last 2 years of intense theorizing and combing through every little bit of lore has actually amounted to anything. And probably not. So, like any self-respecting member of this community, I made a list of this many theories that I think are totally wrong. Easiest first, with the recent totally smooth and uncontroversial launch of EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2 video game, came one big new theory. At the end of the game's story, it's revealed that 2 of the main characters have a daughter at around the same time that Kylo Ren is looking for Luke Skywalker. And so a lot of fans of the series thought that, hey, maybe that means Rey is their daughter. And the answer is no. Do you really think that a huge corporation like Disney that spans the globe and has a cash cow franchise like Star Wars would allow that big of a reveal to be done on a side story in a video game? In fact, you could say the video game was a side story to a side story because it kept hinting at or referencing things that happened in the Aftermath books while never actually giving you anything important to do in the story yourself. So then why drop this hint about the daughter, you ask? Well, it's because, like with everything, EA has some DLC coming. Now on the bright side, it's free story DLC, which is pretty cool. But it's probably gonna be Iden Versio's last mission as the First Order destroys and kills her. But after that, it'll be revealed that her daughter is grown up and ready to fight with the rebellion in the next game, Star Wars Battlefront 3. A game that logically would take place in the time frame of this new trilogy. So that means we'll probably get a big cliffhanger where Iden Versio loses almost everything and her daughter, Schmeiden Schmersio, has to keep fighting on. All of that to say, she's definitely not Rey's mom. And speaking of Rey's family history, how about we just cover off most of all of the Rey theories in one big swoop? I mean, there are a ton of Rey theories, and rightly so. She's an awesome character with a very mysterious past, and we all want to know more about her. But hey, that's also led to some kooky-ass ideas. Some people think that, like Anakin, she's a virgin birth. Some people think she's related to Palpatine. Others think she's a clone of Luke or Anakin and has been reincarnated. Or, who knows, she might even be Yoda's granddaughter. My personal favorite is that she's a Kenobi, a theory that I would love to be true, but that very probably is definitely not. See, the thing with the mainline Star Wars movies is that as much as we hardcore fans love to theorize about them and go into all the little scraps of lore, they're targeted towards a much broader audience than the hardcore Star Wars fans. And that means that the plot and the twists have to be understandable by little Nana who goes with her grandkid. And that means that if little Nana and her grandkid who've only ever seen the movies go to see The Last Jedi, they also need to be able to understand the twists and the turns in the plot. And so the problem with a lot of the great Rey theories is that they're all way too complicated for general audiences. We can't spend 15 minutes of the movie describing how Rey came out of a cloning tube and then had the spirit of Anakin put into her and now she's the new chosen one. It's too much. It needs to be kept simple, and that probably means that the low-hanging fruit is the correct answer, and the correct answer is that she is Luke Skywalker's daughter. And even then, that's complicated because you need to explain who Luke slept with, when he did it, why did he let her go. The simplest answer is that who her parents are isn't important. What's important is that she's a character who feels abandoned and lost and is now looking for a new family. And if Luke is as grumpy as he looks in the trailers, she might need to start looking somewhere else. Theory the third. Benicio del Toro's mysterious DJ character is Ezra Miller. And of course that's totally wrong, because he's of course Ezra Bridger. And while again I think this is a really cool theory, it would only be cool for the 10 of us who watch Star Wars Rebels. Everyone else would kinda be lost. Also, if anyone from the animated canon shows up in a movie, it should be Ahsoka, cause she is fucking awesome. But from all the trailers, it kinda looks like Del Toro's character is just a guy who hangs out at a casino and then helps them infiltrate the Empire. His storyline seems to be more with Finn than Rey, and if he were an old Jedi, they'd probably pair him off with the Jedi characters and not whatever Finn is. Also, if you reveal to the audience that he is a Jedi, or at least a Force user, the questions start flowing again. Where's he been all these years? Why wasn't he helping the good guys? And it's just too much. It's again too complicated, and the movie would waste too much time explaining that to general audiences. So Benicio del Toro is probably just DJ. And now we come to one of the most complicated theories online, that being that Snoke is a list. Look at all the things he is. I mean, he could be Mace Windu, he could be Anakin, he could be Palpatine, he could be Rey, some people think. What? Again, we have to fall back on that line that the simpler it is, the more likely it is to happen. So, the more complicated your Snoke theory is, the less likely it is. What we do know about him is that the people behind the new trilogy have consistently said he is a new character that we previously haven't met in the films. And I know JJ has lied before, but I'm willing to trust him this time. One last time, JJ. And so the most likely theory is the one that keeps it pretty simple. He's just an evil Force user who's very powerful and was trapped somehow on the outer rim of the galaxy. This has been hinted at in a lot of the expanded materials like the Aftermath novels. Once the Empire starts losing after Palpatine's death, they received an order in his last will and testament, I guess, that told them all to pack up and go to the outer rim and out into the unknown regions of space where they'd find something. And then 30 years later, out of the unknown regions, there come the First Order. So clearly they found something, and their leader was now Snoke, so must have been Snoke they found out there. So what that means is Snoke was probably trapped out there for millennia, or at least a very long time, and then the remnants of the Empire went out there, freed him, and now he's back to wreak havoc on the universe. And with Rian Johnson now confirmed to be directing a new trilogy that's unrelated to the Skywalker saga, it's very likely that it could be a prequel trilogy, but very far in the past, about Snoke's first rise to power and how the Jedi had to fight him back to the Outer Rim and past the Outer Rim into the unknown regions. And that's what we call full circle storytelling. And that can only go well, because we all know that Star Wars prequels always do great. Next theory, Rey is going to the dark side. Here's the thing about this one. It would be super cool. It would be amazing. It would take the concept of the prequel trilogy and maybe do it right. But that's the problem, is the prequels already covered this ground, and the second problem is that Star Wars is very limited in inspirational female characters. In fact, in the main movies, we've only got Rey and Leia. Padme was really awesome in the Clone Wars series, but in the movies she pretty much amounted to a damsel in distress. And so taking one of the only inspirational female characters and twisting her into a dark side maniac was probably not a great idea. So I don't think they'll do it, but I do think the threat is very real, and they will bring Rey to just that edge where you think she might turn to the dark side, and then she pulls through. Which is pretty cool anyway. Next up, Luke is on the dark side. Based on all the trailers, Luke is very grumpy and he's very angry. And then on the movie posters, he's on both the light side poster and the dark side poster. And that clearly means that he's the deeper villain for this new trilogy. Which of course he's not. And the main reason behind this is that this new trilogy has been extremely respectful of the original trilogy. And turning Luke into some kind of dark side user would totally betray the spirit of that original trilogy. He was always a conflicted character. He always struggled between the light and the dark, but in the moment, the key moment of the entire series in Return of the Jedi, he chooses the light. He chooses to forgive his father and not to stab him and kill him. And in that moment in Return of the Jedi, we see one of the best uses of wardrobe in movies, where Luke's black exterior peels off and reveals light on the inside. And I think this is a continuation of that journey. And in fact, when we find Luke on the island, he's wearing grey robes. Like I said in a video from like a year ago, this is exactly where his character should be heading. He's seen the damage that the light and dark side always fighting causes to the galaxy, and he believes there has to be a better way. That's why he wants to end the Jedi. He wants to create something new. And that's the reason why, again, we go back to the wardrobe. He's wearing grey when we find him on the island. He's trying to find a better way, to use the Force to balance the galaxy instead of always hurling it into conflict. But he hasn't found that way yet, and it's frustrating to him, and that's why he doesn't want to train Rey and why he's a grumpy old man. He doesn't know what to do. He just knows it needs to change. Last but not least, we've got the cliffhanger from the latest trailer, where Kylo offers a handout to Rey and she takes it and he's gonna train her and she's gonna be evil. And to be honest, I think that last shot was extremely misleading. But hey, unlike all my previous arguments, I have no rationalization here, it's just a gut feeling. I think in that scene, it's actually Rey reaching out to help Kylo Ren, rather than the opposite. We're gonna get a mirror scene to how Kylo asked his father for help at the end of Force Awakens before, shish kebabbing him off a bridge. Instead, in this scene, Kylo is gonna ask for help from Rey. Both of them are loners. Both of them haven't found their place in the galaxy. One is light and one is dark, but neither of them feel like they've been accepted by their mentors, and so they join forces, not in a sinister or evil way, but to find balance, to bring the dark and the light together. And maybe it's in that union, maybe when light and dark can finally join together to fight for a common cause, that we can finally find balance in the Force. You know what's great about this video? I have approximately 7 days until at least one of the things I said was totally wrong, and I will be ripped apart, but I will not delete this video. Let my shame stand for all time. All time.